Hey everybody, and welcome to another segment of AstrologyAnswers.com's weekly forecast. My name is Terence. The week begins on Monday, July the 1st, 2024, and this is going to be a pretty favorable week. A lot of positive energies. One caveat, there's a new moon in Cancer on Friday. And this is going to be a good new moon. The new moon every 4 weeks is setting our intention to a new focus, a new goal. But the week before, about certainly 4 or 5 days before a new moon, it is when the last new moon cycle is wrapping up and bringing closure before starting up a new cycle. So the rule of thumb is you don't really want to launch important new projects if you can help it, that week before the new moon on this Friday. But wait till next weekend or into the following week. But with that said, there's a lot of very positive energies this week. Starting with Monday, the moon that sets the public tone is in calming, steady Taurus. Now, mid-morning Pacific time, it will align with impatient, excitable Mars, but that only lasts for an hour or so, but could be good for starting an exercise program or being really ambitious and driven to go after your goals. By noon, 1 p.m. Pacific time, now that steady calming moon in Taurus will be in harmony with Venus, pleasurable, creative, relational Venus. That moon to Venus is very favorable for all forms of compatibility, mediations, romance, creativity. By mid-afternoon, now the moon, as it's passing past Venus, pleasure-seeking Venus, now it's going to be in harmony with practical business Saturn. So pretty much Taurus can be a sign of seeking financial security, and to have that moon in triggering ambitious Mars, good with Venus, good with Saturn, and it's the first work week of the month, the first work day. Well, this is overall very favorable for accomplishing goals that not starting new goals because of the new moon on Friday, but like finishing up, and which is all part of the wrapping up of the last of this new moon cycle from before. On Tuesday, the moon leaves Taurus, steady Taurus, and goes into Gemini, flexible, adaptable, conversational Gemini at 8:51 a.m. Pacific time. The first half of the day, where it's strongest, communication Mercury will be in harmony with Neptune. That could be very favorable for the imagination, for inspiring others, or being inspired. That it could be bringing in, resonating to music, to art, but also that could be trust your hunches. That Mercury-Neptune can trigger a lot of intuitive energies. But for all day, Venus, the planet of love and harmony, but also a planet of finances, is going to be in harmony with business pragmatic Saturn. Venus-Saturn is good for business and money. Venus-Saturn is good for creating art projects, because Venus is the creative and Saturn is the manifestation. So this is also a very favorable day, but because we're still just days before the new moon on Friday, this is more of a lot of lucky energy to wrap up and accomplish goals you've been going after for a while. This is not all this good energy to start something new. It's really good energy to be wrapping up the old. On Wednesday, the moon continues in Gemini. So there's a lot of running errands, a lot of correspondence, a lot of brainstorming. And Mercury, the ruler of Gemini, as a matter of fact, Mercury, that messenger god, Mercury will be in opposition to powerful Pluto the first half of the day, Pacific time. What that means is the opposition is interacting with others. You may be trying to convince somebody or sell somebody your ideas, or somebody is trying to convince you. So there's a lot of this trying to convince each other that you're the right way to go. Now, on Thursday, July the 4th, happy 4th of July for those in the United States. And the moon is certainly in this versatile, fickle, restless, running errands Gemini until 1:52 p.m. Pacific time, at which point the moon goes into emotional, nurturing Cancer. When the moon was in Gemini, it's more like you're always thinking Gemini, analyzing Gemini, your feelings. You're in your head, you're not in your heart. And when the emotional mood goes into Cancer, Cancer is the nurturing, the caring, and being in the heart. Now, that new moon is being set up when the moon goes into Cancer at 1:52 p.m. Thursday, Pacific time. But come Friday, July the 5th, now we have the new moon in Cancer. And so where Cancer falls in your chart, that's where your attention is being drawn to for the next 4 weeks. But this new moon, Cancer is always very reflective, it's family-oriented, it's nurturing. And Mars, on that day, ambitious, assertive Mars, is in harmony with manifesting, pragmatic Saturn. So this Mars-Saturn is going to be connected with the new moon. So as that new moon is unfolding over the next several weeks, it's holding on to this very favorable Mars-Saturn. Mars-Saturn, on one hand, can be working really hard to accomplish your goals. It could be very favorable for making repairs, home repairs, construction, because Mars is all those tools and building, and Saturn are the structures. You're certainly going to have the discipline and focus, Saturn, to achieve your goals, your ambitious Mars. On Saturday, the moon leaves emotional, nurturing, family, Cancer, and goes into Leo, extroverted, romantic, playful Leo at 8:56 p.m. So for most of all the day, and for some of you from around the world, the moon continues in Cancer all day. And it's for the weekend, and so more of us may be staying at home, entertaining at home, being with more family gatherings. But when the moon goes into Leo, 8:56 p.m. Pacific time that night, it's ideal for the rest of the weekend because Leo wants to be romantic and outgoing and playful. Now, before that, the moon leaves Cancer, it's crossing over pleasure-seeking, charming, loving Venus, mid-morning Pacific time. And then in early afternoon, the moon is in harmony with progressive Uranus. Moon Uranus, you can get out of a rut, try all new things. That Moon to Venus, really good for bonding, for loving, for any, but also attending any kind of Venus, creative entertainment venues. And then finally on Sunday, the Moon continues in Leo, and early afternoon, it's going to be crossing Mercury. Mercury is all those communications and information. So with the Moon in Leo, there's a strong emotional need here to really talk about your feelings, to talk to, really connect with family. It's good for writing, good for speaking. And right after that, as the Moon crosses communication Mercury, it's in harmony with lucky expansive Jupiter. So there's a lot of really positive energies here. Moon Jupiter is great for traveling, making travel plans. It is going into the summer in the northern latitudes here. So with that new moon jump-starting this whole new focus, and then over the weekend, all these really positive energies, it is this weekend coming up is when things start to get, getting excited about the possibilities for July. I want to thank you for tuning in. I hope to see you next week with my next segment. Until then, be safe and well.